Manipulation into lockup. UAL breaking higher for the day. As crude, it pulls back a touch. There was UAL. We went over this on Power Hour. Delta. And I got AAL. Which, by the way, for those holders, I know there's some of them. I bought it too. I wanted to see it close above the 200-day, which is 1363 weekly. You'd like to see it close above 1363. Not saying it's a barn burner where you can go on vacation and say you got the bottom of the stock, but XPath. These two go together and work you up. Dow Chemical reversed. Not that a lot of people trade Dow Chemical. I do. I'm old. I'm a boomer. No, actually, I'm an exit. There's Dow Chemical. Listen, I get it. For somebody macro, you might want to take a dip here. Dow Chemical off the screen. FCX at earnings. I'll buy more AAL here. How many do I have? I'll buy 4,000. 20,000. PSLL. Woke up 4 in the morning. Sold a ton of it. I sold like 16,000. Where's all the 4? Where's all this stock? What did I sell? 977. It's 780. TSLL. $4:30. Let's go 3:30 a.m. Show executions. One of the best losses I took. Trust me. Here it is right here. All right, let's get into what's going on in calls and what's of interest. Okay. Here's Tesla, the slow leak all day long. Google, same type of situation. IBM at earnings. Everybody notice that? That actually went up. ServiceNow can't make up its mind, but Microsoft led the way. Oracle. Yep. QS at earnings. Bidding for that 454. Traded it last night. Another one. EQNR made nice money in the fund. Never have enough. GEV, after the first one to reverse yesterday, back up and down. AT&T, not a barn burner. Dell Computer, showing the most relative strength. Let's take a look. CBRS and SKYH, continuing the run of the IPOs. Oklo, well, let's look at MBIS. That's number 1. Sloppy power hour. I'm sorry. This right here has nothing to do with Kramer. First of all, he's forgotten more than most of us will know. And he's worth probably more to himself more than anybody watching it collectively. So it's what this said is not really his opinion, but it's how it's taking it. Price action trumps sentiment. Yeah, the Google. I know if I had $1 for every smart guy, the boys, if you would say, that said Google quarter was good, blah, 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 we'd all retire. Poor price action. Same with the bulls. It's all telling and not exactly what to trade. It's what's going on underneath. FHE silent. ONDS, Tesla, Planet. Listen, this stock Planeteer, it tries to recover and tries. It's got, I don't, it feels like it's got nothing left to try anymore. It feels like it's on its last leg for this relative, whatever you want to call it. It really does. The public Jesus feed, FBRX. I posted that before. Ooh. Look at this change. You want to talk about a week? We're now in the fear territory doing this. Look at this. Last week, 40 most bullish they've been in, not only since the beginning of July, but in some time, maybe 6 months. Look at that shift. It almost got cut in half. Why? Here's one of us right here. This guy would be on my desk, on our desk. Intel tonight move 11 points. The professor's quiet. Everybody's with the fix. You know what? Now this, even the traders, even me, are becoming technicians. I'm not so sure it's stock picking anymore. Hold on a second. I apologize. Listen. I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not short these things, but from a personal standpoint, if I may, at your expense, you know, I'm not saying I'm, like I said, to repeat myself, I'm not taking, you know, making money in the short side, but for the type of trader I am, which by the way used to be a pretty good contra trader, the fact, you know, I sold Oracle nicely. I actually think I made money in this freaking thing. ServiceNow, same thing. IoT, I had bids up the wazoo. Look at how wazoo. I'm getting old. Who uses that word wazoo? But see this IoT? And IoT popped on the open. I'm like, God damn, hold on. I'm like, I missed it. I said next. But this is to the open. You know, I wanted to buy another dip. It's not a barn burner, but I could have made a quick dollar on like 8,000 shares. And there's the weekly. Now I wouldn't even think of this. Went from from that's what this market is, at least for me on the weekly. You know, it's a software situation, some Sarah cool name too. Now forget about it. Now I wouldn't think about it. Now I might take it off the screen so I don't get tempted to buy it. After the close. Intel, MXL. Oh my God. In the morning. In the morning, it's the Gen X and Boomer stocks. Verizon, AXP, Schlumberger, HCA, THC. These are things I started trading up for in the late 90s. Half the stocks here I didn't. Actually, Intel hung in there. Let's get you know what? Let me get to some flow. And then we'll get to the questions. And believe me, that LXU comes off maybe once every 6 months, and today it came up there, Eliza. All right, smart dumb money. Dumb money's in the red. They're still selling. Smart money's buying the dip. They're not buying the dip in software, are they? I don't think they're buying the dip in crude stocks. They're buying the dip in semis, I guess. AMD. I don't know. See? Know the feed. Now, can't really tell. Can't tell. Fastly, you know what? This was this Fastly. Let's look together. Let's do this together. There were very few stocks that are on weekly puts. Hold on. That were on my list that closed well yesterday, and Fastly was one of them. Look at this. Look at this close yesterday in the stock. See this? Right here. See the volume come in? And Fastly was 2020. It closed like the 2090. Decent move, and there was Fastly. Looked like it was going to break out. Now they're buying puts. Just like the other thing, opposite with IoT. Man, you got to be quick. SpaceX, they're the calls, and they're not the only ones. LXU. What's 729? What's today? LXU calls. Uber. LXU. All the diehards. The real diehards right here. This handful. Howdy, Miss Sherry. Hope you're well. Hugo. Juice. The boys. Any questions? Juice has a question. I'm going to answer it. I saw a post from Jesus saying calls and Qs. Let's look. He's asking a question. I don't think so. Let's look. Iron, individual stocks. I don't think there was juice. Now I'm going back to 10:30 in the morning. And like I said, once again, not to be redundant, but you got to get to know your moderator. I barely scrolled up. I did like 3 scrolls. And this is from 10 in the morning. 1, 2, freaking 3, 4 scrolls. Well, I'm exaggerating. Brings you like to 11. There's not even a lot of action here in the public feed. Let's go over the public feed. Let's go over it. A week from today, the next options situation. Oh, sorry, I wasn't thinking. $6,000 SPX calls. Market was selling larger, but hitting a tape, while Qs were building on the call side. So that was 2 hours ago, right? So right now it's 3:14. Let's go back and look at 1:14 Eastern when this started. So let's look at the Qs. 1:14 Eastern is when? Right here. Didn't work. Well, maybe. There was one ready at 1:13. Yeah, it bounced a little bit, not enough, but I wouldn't take that, just because it comes on the feed, you want to see 2, 3, or 4 times. That's not something that comes up. Good eye though, Juice. Don't put any credence in that. The Mag 7. Okay. Just post one of its biggest down day in years. Plural. The S&P is closing on oversold territory. Standard deviations. Believe me, if you start now and you think the market might be oversold, the problem here is if it gets oversold from this blue to this green, that's another 10%. Then you're going to need your stocks to bounce 12% if you're right. And probably, you know what contra trading does, you probably just relax. Pardon me. Sherry, thank you. Yeah, you know what I mean, Juice? It's like when you go to the public feed, you want, you know, if they just post the cues once or twice, and then you see, like I showed you that throughout the day calls in like LXU and, you know, FBRX, you know, I don't see any Google calls going off. Nobody's taking a stab at Apple. Nobody's saying you know, I don't see any Tesla sweepers, or nobody's buying any Amazon sweepers. It's just an obscure Q trade. Maybe more of it's a lesson or to point something out, more of to point to see how good the feed is, what the feed could offer you more than the actual trade itself. Actually, because it's probably a slow day. But sharp, man. Keep asking those questions. One day it's gonna have a good it's gonna have a logistical, a logical reason, if you will. All right, let's go over some more charts and then we'll leave it there. Sherry posted the earnings. Thank you, Miss Sherry. I think we already went over the majority of them. Planeteer, it's self-explanatory. You know, this SKHY and CBRS seem to be moving together as the semis do. You know, at this point, this is what I'm thinking now subconsciously, and now it became conscious. It is the weakness in Microsoft and Google now below the 200-day in Tesla greater than the whole than MU holding up? Is it greater than the MXL chart, who, by the way, has earnings? I don't think so. I think I don't even know who the leaders are. Yeah, NBIS, bravo. And that's still below the 50-day. Every leader that I know of, sans Apple, is all below technical action anyway. And the big daddy behemoths are breaking down precipitously. You know what that tells me? Sell rips, even the video. All right, get it. You might do it, but now it looks like it's more. It almost feels like a Tesla, because Tesla was an enigmatic chart for a while. But now, the more the video holds in there and everybody starts sharing the relative strength, I'm not saying it can get pinned down to the 200. Actually, that would be pretty good, but you know, that's not the most positive sign either. So I'm not saying I'm bearish. If you know my feed, I very rarely even have Qs or TWA or TNA or whatever the hell it is. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I just found over years, and it's not even my doing. It's watching all these retail accounts, being on the desk with I don't know how many traders, including the founder of Tradeview Markets, who I sat next to for years. The little, you know, there's you know, little edge. All right, we good? Yeah. Like I said, you know, we have another option. This time I'm pinning and I'm saving specific option flow throughout the week as examples, you know, even monetary examples of what to look for example. And by the way, they're all basically the same. Sweeper calls on the Jesus feed look all the same. You know, the key is consistency, because we're all not that smart. Who has time to break down all these, you know, the mathematics and schematics, even of all this option flow? Believe me, they try to make it simple as possible. Don't get me wrong. So we'll get it in time, right? For that, you know, and then, you know, they say these option moves Intel. What is 11 points? The option move in Tesla is supposed to be 21 points. It's down 40. Don't put any credence in that. All right. So I'll do a better job tomorrow. I'll be trading post market. Until then, trade well and honored by your time.